Once this land was at the heart of Scotland's story, but time has turned the tide, and now it stands quiet, almost forgotten. This is the Machars Peninsula. I'm here in southern Scotland in a town called Newton Stewart, and this town is known as the gateway to the Galloway Hills, but it's also the gateway to the Machars Peninsula, which is where I'm going to be exploring today. This area has so much history, and my first stop is going to be a really ancient site. I have made it to my first stop, and this is called Torhouse Stone Circle. All over Scotland and over the British Isles, you can come across these fascinating ancient stone circles. Some of them date back to over 5,000 years old. This one here is said to be from the Bronze Age times, so it's around 4,000 years old. This stone circle is very well preserved. It spans 20 metres in diameter and is aligned to the winter solstice. While its true purpose remains a mystery, it's widely believed that stone circles served as sites for religious or ceremonial rituals, connecting ancient people to the cycles of nature and the heavens. On the plaque just there, it says that there's 19 dumpy stones. And dumpy is such a horrible word. Does anyone else agree? But they are definitely much smaller stones than you see at other ancient stone circles like Stonehenge or at the Ring of Brodgar on Orkney. On the stone here in the middle, people have left some small painted stones. Oh, that snowman is so nice. There's some coins as well. When I go to stone circles, I love seeing all the markings on the rocks because these are so old. Very, very quiet. And this part of Scotland, this area, Dumfries and Galloway, is definitely one of the lesser visited parts of Scotland. I think many people prefer to head to the highlands, to islands in Scotland, but this is a beautiful area too. And this part, especially the Machars Peninsula, is probably even lesser visited than other parts of Dumfries and Galloway because it is a bit harder to get to. And as I've been here, not a single other person has come, and I wonder even for the whole of today if anyone else will come and visit this stone circle. So let's head to the next place. I have now arrived at Bladnoch Distillery. This is Scotland's southernmost whisky distillery, and it's also one of Scotland's oldest distilleries because it was founded in the year 1817. Bladnoch is known for its light and delicate lowland-style single malts. The distillery faced closures, including in the 1990s, but was revived in 2015 by Australian businessman David Pryor. He invested heavily in restoring and modernising the distillery while focusing on sustainability. Here's the visitor centre here, but it seems to be closed today. It does say that it's open online, but maybe they're closed during the winter. Behind me here is the River Bladnoch. This bridge is so old and really beautiful. I would like to try the whisky, so hopefully later on I will get a chance to do that. This here smells like whisky or something. Maybe this is from the distillery. Quite foamy, and then it's coming out and then into the river here. Before I head to the next location, I'd like to say thanks to today's video sponsor, Incogni. Last year I googled myself and I found private information such as my name, my phone number, email address, and even an old address available online for people to see. To be honest, I find it really creepy and also quite dangerous. This happens due to companies called data brokers. They collect and sell your personal information without you even knowing. This means there's a higher risk of spam, scams, and even identity theft. Getting this information removed from the internet can be quite a difficult and time-consuming process. This is where Incogni comes in. They do all the work for you. They contact these data brokers on your behalf and follow up to make sure your data actually gets removed. With their yearly subscription, they're constantly monitoring you so you don't end up back on these lists. As you can see on my dashboard, in the last few months they have sent 75 requests, 65 are completed and 10 are still in progress. If you want to take control of your personal data with Incogni, they are offering a massive 60% off their annual plan. All you need to do is go to www.incogni.com/Ruth Ashling and use the code Ruth Ashling at checkout. I'll also put the link in the video description below, or you can scan the QR code on the screen. Now let's head to the next location. I have now made it to the town of Wigtown, and some of you may have heard of this town before because it is Scotland's national book town. In the town you can find 17 bookshops, and every September they also hold a very well-known literary festival, and it is absolutely excellent. So if you ever have the opportunity to go to that book festival, I highly recommend it. I'm not going to touch too much on the books in this video today because I do plan to make a separate video all about Wigtown and how it became Scotland's book town, so please look forward to that in the near future. However, down here at the shores of Wigtown there is a very interesting sight to see, and that's why I've come here. Let's go and see what it is. Wigtown was once the administrative heart of Wigtownshire, though it gradually lost prominence over time. As I'm walking, I can see in front of me here the Wigtown Bay Local Nature Reserve, and this is actually the largest local nature reserve in Britain, and it's very popular for bird watching. I've now made it to this place here, which is called the Machars Stake, and you might be wondering, what is this? Well, there's a very sad story behind what you can see here. So it was the year 1685, and two women named Margaret McLaughlin, who was 63, and Margaret Wilson, who was 18, they were executed here for refusing to give up their Presbyterian faith during a time when Scotland was trying to force people to follow the Church of England. Both of these women were imprisoned because they wouldn't swear loyalty to the king's religious rules, and then they were sentenced to death. And how they were killed, they were tied onto this stake here. The tide came in. The tides, I think, used to be much bigger, and the tide came in to this point and they drowned. Their story is remembered today because they're seen as symbols of bravery and freedom. And just a short walk from here, they are buried in the cemetery at the church, so I will head there next. I also believe there is a statue of the Wigtown Martyrs in Stirling, so if I'm ever there, I'd like to go and see that statue. Here are the graves of Margaret Wilson and Margaret McLaughlin, the two Wigtown martyrs, and there's more information here as well. I read on the information board that Margaret Wilson's 13-year-old sister Agnes was also arrested, but was spared execution because of her age and her father's payment of a £100 fine. So far, I visited a few places connected to different times in history, and around a 20-minute drive from Wigtown is a small village called Garliston, and this village played a very important role in the Second World War. I have now arrived here in the village of Garliston. It is a beautiful fishing village. As I was driving through, I was admiring all the cottages beside the sea. It's located here on this bay, and this bay is where Mulberry harbours were tested. Mulberry harbours were temporary portable harbours constructed by the Allies during World War II to support the D-Day landings in Normandy, France in 1944. They were designed to facilitate the rapid offloading of cargo, vehicles and troops onto beaches where no permanent port facilities were available. Online, it does look that there are some remains of a Mulberry harbour on that side of the bay. So I'm going to head over there next and see if I can find them. On the side of the village hall here, there are some photographs and information about the Mulberry Harbour's Garliston Secret War. in the village hall here. I think they usually have an exhibition that's on, but because it's the off season at the moment, it's not open every day. I think it's only open on the weekends. The sheltered waters and the varied tides in Garliston Bay made it an ideal location to test the different components and engineering designs of the floating harbours. The Mulberry Harbours proved to be a key factor in the success of the D-Day landings, as they allowed the Allies to support troops on the beaches after the initial invasion. The trials at Garliston directly contributed to refining the technology. I've driven around the bay a little bit and I've parked up Ernie Boy behind me here, and this is the start of a walk along the bay to go and see the remains of the Mulberry Harbour, but I'm not really sure how long the walk is. It might be 15 or 30 minutes, let's see. I really love this place. It feels such a peaceful and quiet village. I think this would be a really lovely place to come and spend a week. Rent a cottage, you could stay there, walk out here. It would be really nice, especially if you need to do something like do some writing or get on with some work. Oh, the daffodils are coming out. Spring is upon us. So I recently got a new sticker for my car. I've been looking for a Scotland sticker for so long, and I've really struggled to find one that is waterproof for the back of the car and also had a design that I liked. So I saw this for sale and I bought it. It was £2.99 for 2 stickers, which I thought was quite a lot for a sticker, but I think it looks absolutely great. And does anyone else from Scotland feel like you like to have a Scotland sticker on the back of your car when you have a British number plate? Yeah, I'm really happy I have the Scotland flag now. I've just been walking along. I think I've been walking for around 20 minutes so far, and I spotted something here on the shore, which looks like it could be something to do with the Mulberry Harbour, so I'll go a bit closer. This is the thing I spotted. This could probably be something to do with the Mulberry Harbours. So rusted, look at that. Over here, that looks a bit dangerous. What the heck is that? Lots of old metal. There's something down there, if you can see that. All possibly parts of the Mulberry Harbours. But I'm not sure. These could be also things that belong to fishing boats or something else. I'm in this almost feels like an enchanted forest, and in front of me I can see the remains of Mulberry Harbour. I hope I can get down close and have a better look. There it is, in between the trees. Can you see it? I'm going to try and get down closer. I have made it to the remains of what I believe is a Mulberry Harbour. It is extremely rusted, but so impressive that a piece still remains here in the bay at Garliston. It's crazy to imagine them testing all the equipment here. So quiet and so peaceful here now, but during that time there must have been so much activity going on here. I guess when you look back at the photos you can imagine and it brings it more to life, but when you stand here in the present day and it's such a sleepy and quiet place, it's really hard to visualise that all happening right here. It was so interesting to see the remains of the Mulberry Harbours. Nearby here is a beach, and that's actually where they tested the Mulberry Harbours because the gradient was very similar to that of Normandy. So I'm going to head there next, and my grandfather's brother was actually there in Normandy on D-Day, and he lost an eye, and he died when I was about 10 years old. But yeah, he always had this, I think, a glass eye or something. So I'm quite interested to go and see the beach. As I was driving here, I passed a building called Galloway House, and it is spectacular. It looks like an old estate house or manor house. I'm going to try and get a better view of it to show you. I've just walked up the road a little bit further where I drove, and I can see the house in full view. Wow, it's so grand. Galloway House was built in 1740 for the Earl of Galloway and is a Palladian-style mansion. The estate is closely tied to the village of Garliston, which was developed by the Earl. While now privately owned, the estate's gardens and coastal walks remain open to the public. This is wild garlic. So garlicky. I actually had some of this for my dinner last night, but it's wild garlic from last year. So if you do pick wild garlic, you need to be very careful. Make sure it's the correct species that you collect, and also don't remove all of it, because if you remove all the wild garlic, then there won't be any for future years. I think I have made it to the beach. Yeah, wow. Rig Bay was chosen for Mulberry Harbour testing due to its similar tidal and weather conditions to those of Normandy. This made it an ideal location to simulate the challenges the harbours would face when used in the D-Day landings. The harbours consisted of floating piers, breakwaters and causeways, all designed to be easily assembled and dismantled. The trials at Rig Bay involved testing these structures' stability and effectiveness in harsh conditions. This is Rig Bay. This is where they tested the prototypes of the Mulberry Harbours. It's incredible that this happened here. There's not a single other soul. I'm the only person here. Imagine at the time when they were testing the Mulberry Harbours, there was probably loads of people here. It really does feel like this part of Scotland has been forgotten. It played such an important part in history. I didn't even know this happened here, and I'm from the south of Scotland. I'm going to head now back to the village of Garliston, and there is a pub there where you can spend the night if you buy a meal inside. And I'd also like to try a dram of the Bladnach whiskey, if they have it. I'm sure they must have it behind the bar. As night fell, I made my way to the Harbour Inn in Garliston. The menu offered a great selection, and I opted for fresh mussels paired with a glass of Bladnach whiskey. I had my meal in the Harbour Inn. It was really great, actually. So cosy in there with the fire. I had mussels for the first time since my mussel overdose on the Isle of Mull, where I ate 2 kilograms of mussels by myself in one night, and I thought I would never ever want to eat mussels again. But I ate them tonight and they were very good. And I tried the Bladnach whiskey. And interestingly, they have a peated version of the whiskey. So I tried that and it was very nice. The dram cost £8.50. Okay, now it's time to sleep here in the car park at the pub, and they also mentioned they keep the door open as well at night so you can use the toilets. Good night! Good morning. I had such an amazing sleep in the campervan last night. It was really quiet in the pub car park. I've made it back down to the parking area for Rig Bay. From Rig Bay there is a walk along the coast. I think it takes around 90 minutes one way, and at the end of the walk is something interesting to see. So before I continue exploring the rest of the peninsula, I will go and check it out. At the end of last year, when I stayed in a cottage on the Isle of Mull, I shared that I was planning to make some goals for the new year. So one of my goals this year is to walk 10,000 steps every day. And I know it probably sounds quite an easy thing to do, but I was never tracking it before, so I don't know if I was walking 10,000 steps or not. And now that I know what 10,000 steps feels like, I don't think I really was ever walking 10,000 steps unless I was really doing a lot of walking on that day. So interestingly, I walked 15,000 steps yesterday as I was exploring around, and I now have a tracker so I can track how many steps I'm doing. So with this long walk today, I'll probably end up doing quite a lot of steps. It is amazing here in the morning. The sun comes right up. If I was here at the exact time of sunrise, you probably would have seen the sun coming over the water. It's so quiet, it's so beautiful in the morning here. Wow, I'm so glad I got up early. As I'm walking through the woods here, this tree has fallen down. Wow, maybe that's from the recent storm. That's crazy. I made out of the woods area and I'm now on the cliff tops. The place I want to visit can be seen in the distance. Along the cliffs here, it looks like there's caves. I have now made it to the remains of the castle I wanted to see. The castle only has the arch remaining, but it looks really cool. I am inside the castle and wow, the drop from the edge here. Wow, it's so steep. This is the remains of Cruggleton Castle, which dates back to the 13th century. It fell into disrepair after being abandoned in the 17th century, leaving behind the ruins which can be seen today. I've driven a little bit further and come across something called the Cruggleton Old Church. It looks very interesting, so I'm going to take a closer look. In front of me is the church. So it's located behind this wall in the middle of a field. How unique. Cruggleton Church, dating from around the year 1150, is regarded as the most complete Romanesque church in Galloway. It was built by the first Lord of Galloway as a private chapel for his nearby Cruggleton Castle. This here must have been the cemetery. There's some gravestones. Wow, look at that old door. The church is generally locked, and every September they have an annual service here which anyone can attend. However, a friend did give me the key to the church, so we have exclusive access. Let's go in and see what it's like inside. Oh my goodness. Wow, this is not what I expected inside. I've never seen a church like this inside before. It's amazing. What a special place. It's hard to see it, but inside the church there are some gravestones, and this one is for Helen Macready, spouse to James Hannah, died age 74 in 1796. Wow. What does everyone think of the church? I absolutely love this church. I think it's my favourite church I've ever been inside because it feels like going back in time. It feels so old. I can imagine people coming here 200, 300 years ago. Amazing place. So far on the Machars Peninsula, I've explored a few interesting times in history. However, probably one of the most important parts of the history on this peninsula is here in Whithorn. This place is considered the earliest Christian community. I have walked up a back street here in the town of Whithorn to St Ninian's Priory. So St Ninian is believed to have brought Christianity to Scotland in the 4th century. There's a museum behind me which explains more. It's called the Whithorn Story. It doesn't seem to be open today, but I'll go and check out the priory in front of me. There's a few local people who've seen me filming and they're probably thinking I'm a religious pilgrim coming here to the chapel or the priory. Wow, the detail is incredible. St Ninian was a Christian missionary and bishop, and his religious journey began with his education in Rome, where he trained in Christian teachings. Upon returning to Scotland, he established a church at Whithorn, which became a major centre for Christianity and is considered the first Christian church in Scotland. His mission contributed significantly to the establishment of Christianity in Scotland, and it's believed that he's buried at Whithorn Priory, although the exact location of his grave remains uncertain. From Whithorn, there is a pilgrimage called the Whithorn Way. It's 149 miles and it starts here in Whithorn and ends in Glasgow. And on the way you stop off at sites connected to St Ninian, including some different churches and monasteries. Personally for me, I don't know why, I find it harder to relate to history that's so far in the past. I think with history like the Second World War, when you can see pictures, it makes it more relatable and you can actually imagine the people who were there living at that time. But when it's almost 2,000 years ago, it's almost hard to imagine. The Whithorn Priory declined after the Protestant Reformation in the 16th century, but its ruins remain today as a significant historical site. As part of the museum, you usually get access to this old house, iron house, I think it's called, but it's closed at the moment as well. I was just speaking to a local lady who said the museum is closed because it's out of season at the moment and they're putting a new front onto the building, which is down on the main street there. I have now arrived at the bottom of the Machars Peninsula, and this place is called the Isle of Whithorn. It also has close links to St Ninian, and it was once an island. That's why it has the name Isle of Whithorn. Let's take a look around. The Isle of Whithorn is home to a picturesque harbour and a small friendly community. I just had a little walk around the Isle of Whithorn and it is so beautiful but so windy today, and I've just made it down now to the seafront, and here is St Ninian's Chapel. It's a little bit smaller than the Priory in Whithorn, but I'll go inside and have a look. St Ninian's Chapel was originally built around the year of 1100 to serve both local worshippers and pilgrims visiting St Ninian's Shrine at Whithorn. The chapel seen today is a rebuild, dating from around the year 1300. Here is a picture of the chapel, and this is what it used to look like around the year 1100. The best thing about coming inside the chapel is getting out of the wind. Oh, it's so windy and so cold. From the Isle of Whithorn, it said that you can see the 5 kingdoms view. So on a clear day from here, you can see England, Wales, other parts of Scotland, Northern Ireland, and the Isle of Man. However, today the view is not so clear and you can't see much. But in the Isle of Whithorn, there's also a brewery called the 5 Kingdoms Brewery, and that is named after the view that you can see from here. Now I'm going to head to another location nearby here, which is also connected to St Ninian, and I think some of you are going to like this next place. I have parked up and also wrapped up. It's getting quite cold now, and I'm heading towards St Ninian's Cave. And it's possible to walk to St Ninian's Cave from the Isle of Whithorn. You can walk along the cliffs, but I think it takes around 3 hours, so I just drove here and then you can walk from the car park. St Ninian's Cave is a place that St Ninian used to come for contemplation and to retreat. I'm looking forward to seeing what it's like. Made it down to the shore. Wow, the waves are crashing. I can see the cave in the distance, so once you arrive down here at the shore, you need to turn right. Wow, it is wild here. I have made it to the entrance of the cave, and it's very easy to go inside. It's very different to Sonny Bean's cave, where I visited last year and actually spent the night. So if you want to watch that video, I will link it. But wow, let's go inside. It's also very open, so when you're in the cave you can see this wonderful view of the bay in front. I think that's definitely the highlight of this cave, the view that you can see from here. But it's different to what I expected. I think I was thinking of maybe the King's Cave on the Isle of Arran and also Sonny Bean's cave. They're much bigger caves and they have a narrow entrance, and then inside is a very large chamber or room, and it's very dark as well. However, this is quite a small cave. I like it. From the early Middle Ages, the cave became an important site of pilgrimage. Excavations revealed numerous Christian symbols, including carved headstones and crosses dating back to the 10th and 11th centuries, which were discovered beneath a collapsed roof. These artefacts are now on display at the Priory Museum in Whithorn. Maybe this sounds really strange to share, but I don't know why, but whenever I go into a cave, I really like it. I think perhaps in my past life, I was living in a cave as a cave woman or a caveman if I was a male. But I really like being inside a cave. I don't know. Maybe that's really strange. If you're in this area, this cave is definitely worth a visit, even though it is quite small. The view from inside the cave is worth seeing. During my time on the Machars Peninsula, I've explored history that stretches back thousands of years, and it's reminded me of the incredible heritage of Scotland, my beautiful country that I'm so proud to call home. If you'd like to see more videos about lesser travelled parts of Scotland, make sure to check out other videos on my channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.